Right. But I'm not sure even. I don't even have a plan. I don't at all.
I kind of do, so we can
Okay,
we
okay.
can
I'll
figure it
use your
out
plan.
here.
I'll use your
Let's
plan.
start with what is your name?
My name is Susan Bush Stokes.
All right, Susan.
Yes.
So, do you want to start with like a favorite memory from Edison High School?
You know, I have so many favorite memories. To be honest with you, I had such a good time. I had friends from kind of all different groups. I was fortunate enough to be a cheerleader, but I also loved student council. And I think the best part was that I had friends that, now as I see them, they each were so different in different groups. And I had the pleasure of kind of being a little bit a part of a lot, but not a lot of part of a little. So,
What were the groups?
well, in the cheerleading group, and that was the very active, athletic kind of group. Um, and then the student council, there was always just a kind of another group that was very interested in organizing and doing that. Um, in my senior year, I got to know Scotty Hicks well because he was president of the Key Club, and I ended up being the Key Club sweetheart, which was kind of interesting. And I was telling Scotty that then when my grandson was in high school, he ended up being in the Key Club, and I couldn't wait to tell him my memories of helping them put on a banquet and doing what the girls did back then. Now they have girls in Key Club.
Did he go to Edison?
No, no,
Oh,
he was in Louisville.
oh.
So, but I went K through 12 with a lot of people. A whole lot of us went to Elliott Elementary School, and several of us have been talking about that. And then we all went to Edison and were the first class to go 7 through 12. So I had a sister who was 2 years older, and we had a split session for a year where we went in the afternoon. The school was expanding, and I got to every morning, many mornings a week. I went ice skating with the kids who were 2 years older because they could drive, and they were my sister's friends. So I knew people of all of the ages, and really just had a very full experience. It was special, very special. The good part about the reunion for me is seeing these people, and like I saw Kathy Parker, who was married to Charlie Parker, who recently died. And Charlie was my first boyfriend in seventh grade, and so she and I were talking about that. So when you have those memories, Nancy Stone and I went K through 12 together, and I drove by her old house today. So little special memories, and having the chance to come back every 5 years because I don't live here. It's been really, really special, and I've been so appreciative of all the effort it takes to put all this on. Charlie Cantrell I always loved Charlie, and I didn't know him all that well in high school, um, but he is he's one very special person and so creative. And so I've really had fun seeing him. So to this time particularly. So Larry Meisel and I had a very long conversation at the 60th reunion, and I didn't really know Larry that well in high school. And I was just telling him that, actually, I feel like I know some people better now than I did then, but I'm so fortunate to be able to come back and get to know them. So,
Nice. What are the biggest changes that you've seen in your coming back to Tulsa every 5 years?
well, I was a Brookside kid. We always, when we weren't before we could drive, we'd walk to Brookside and go to the drugstore. We went to the Brook Theater on the weekend, and so today I drove through Brookside, and I'm just going. Everything looks so different, But some of the neighborhoods where I grew up, and along between 21st and say 41st, they're still just as beautiful as they ever were. A lot of the houses are a lot bigger than they used to be. Things are
A lot of the houses are.
far less modest than they were back when we were kids. Um, But yeah, downtown, there's a lot the same. I drove through downtown today, and some of the old churches are still there and still magnificent. But still, a lot of the developments are very special. Um, so I think Tulsa's very green, and I think it's because people have made such a special effort as they have at the gathering place. It really makes a big difference. So Riverside Drive is sure not what it used to be.
It really isn't.
No.
I grew up right there on the corner of 31st and Riverside, and this was lawn.
Yes, right. And I have said several times when we used to drive by the river, it was sand.
Yeah.
There was very little water, and now it's a recreation spot. It's it's fun living in another city to read about, particularly the Gathering Place. The last few years, they've been getting so many awards and all. Um, and the history of Tulsa. A lot of us didn't know some of the tragic history, and I have really appreciated the opportunity to go and learn more about that. Things we should have known that we didn't know.
I assume that wasn't anything that was covered in high school.
No, in fact, I went all the way through University of Oklahoma, and you were required to take Oklahoma history, and none of that was ever mentioned of the Black Wall Street and the tragic happenings there. Um, but we did live in a very segregated community, and Edison was considered sort of the privileged group. As a cheerleader, we got to go to all the high schools and do pep rallies and things, and they always kind of thought we were the rich kids. I didn't feel like I was, but in hindsight, we were all very advantaged relatively, to see that. And having gone to Edison, we had a lot of pride. I mean, we were so proud of being the first class to go from 7 through 12. And a lot of the instructors we had were very, very special. I mean, I can tell you, Mrs. Mitchell was my favorite teacher in history, and Pauline Jackson. I enjoyed political issues and historic issues, and they were, really. Mrs. Stewart was an algebra teacher. I hated geometry, but she got me through it.
That's a good teacher.
So, and there was the group that were the very intellectuals. I ended up marrying one of them. Nobody could believe that Lowell and I would end up as a couple. And they were carrying their briefcases, and they were making top scores on all the tests. And yet we were all extremely proud to be in a school with that high achievement. So, and I was, even though I was certainly more of an average student. I think I was too busy doing everything else to worry that much about it. But it was a very special place, and we are, I think, all pretty much a product of that. So
It is really amazing that everyone has mentioned teachers and mentioned kind of the school spirit and
oh yeah,
yeah,
right,
what having that we're the first to go through this the whole way did for all of you.
right. And we were, even the administration, you didn't feel a heavy hand. I didn't anyway. I felt like I could walk in any of their offices and just talk to them as friends. And I'm sure a lot of people, not everybody felt that way, but I appreciated that. And I've seen other situations where young people weren't as privileged to have that kind of relationship with their professors and teachers and all. So it certainly nurtures a certain attitude towards education that a lot of kids don't always have.
Absolutely.
So anyway, but thank you for doing this.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, no.
I really appreciate it.